Foreign Affairs Minister John Baird, long considered one of the most dominant and effective political players in Ottawa, is walking away. Baird is set to announce his resignation in about 30 minutes when Parliament convenes. It's a decision catching many people by surprise. National Affairs Editor Chris Hall has more on the stunning turn of events from Ottawa. Chris, I gather his resignation, we now know, is effective fairly soon. What else do we know about that and where he may be going?
Well, that's right, Jennifer. Talking this morning to a number of people who are close to John Baird, who indicate that he wants to go to the private sector. There are opportunities there for him. As a G7 foreign minister, he has extensive contacts, as the pictures that were being shown in the introduction of John Kerry, William Hague of Great Britain. These are people he has direct knowledge of and direct contact with. So a very valuable person on boards of directors for Canadian companies who do international business, for example. So these things are in the offing. No deal has been struck yet. Obviously, he's still a foreign affairs minister, but my understanding is that he wants to make this decision, make the break clean so he can pursue these other opportunities.
And so effective immediately. I guess the question to Chris today is timing. Why the sudden announcement? We know John Baird's very busy on the file, for example, Mohamed Fahmy, the Egyptian-Canadian journalist he's been trying to help free from Cairo. The timing's catching many people by surprise.
Well, that's right. Almost nobody knew last night that we were talking to at CBC. In fact, many people learned first, including people in cabinet, from our report last night on the National. So it is a surprise. People say that John Baird had made his decision some time ago, but waited. He had a number of files that he wanted to see through to the end, including Mohamed Fahmy, whose release he has been working very hard to secure. So these kinds of things weighed into the decision that he made. But at 45 years old, after 20 years in politics, 10 cabinet positions, both at the federal level and at the Ontario government level, he wants to move on and to try another chapter in his life.
So, Chris, you were saying that it came as a surprise for many of his cabinet colleagues even. So do we know when he actually told his office staff about this?
My understanding is he began telling people last night that he was intending to leave, who are in his office, but not sure how far that was communicated. Our understanding is that he intended to make the announcement, the formal announcement, on Thursday, but was forced to move that up, obviously, because of our stories last night. So this is a very fluid situation, and as you said, many people surprised. John Baird is not only a senior cabinet minister, but he is seen as one of the very few who has Stephen Harper's ear, given a free rein, as Jim Flaherty was when he was in finance, as Jason Kenney is, to go out and talk about government policy, not considered to be a person who is not an ineffective communicator, in fact, a very effective communicator, both domestically in the House of Commons, but also on the world stage.
Final thought from you on the timing. You mentioned, of course, there was the loss of Jim Flaherty. And now with John Baird gone, as the Prime Minister heads into an election, how will that affect the Conservatives? Yeah,
I think this is enormous. I mean, John Baird is a huge player in the Ontario scene, both of the ridings in and around Ottawa, the nation's capital, but also more broadly. He's one of the more recognizable figures. He's a good speaker. People wanted him in their ridings in the last election campaign because he's very good at the stump-style speech. So on that score, it's a big loss. But the more immediate concern for Stephen Harper is who becomes the foreign affairs minister. John Baird has handled that portfolio. We have situation in Ukraine with Russia, concerns about the Middle East, obviously Syria and the Islamic State, ISIS fighters. A lot on that foreign affairs plate that's very difficult to see right now who Stephen Harper might be able to choose to fill that slot in the next months ahead.
Chris Hall with the very latest from Ottawa. I know you've been working the phones, as have all our colleagues there, for hours now, and this all unfolds in less than a half an hour. We will be watching. Thank you.
Thanks.